Hello and welcome to part 9 of the mod making series for the mod Locked Loot Containers. Before this, or this morning, whatever, I wanted to start this earlier, as I keep saying, and I did technically, I think, maybe, um, maybe not actually, I think it a little bit later, but whatever. For a few hours, like maybe 2 hours in total or something, like an hour and a half, I've been reading some stuff in the code and trying to figure out how these registered custom activations work. And I was thinking that they were actually adding a Daggerfall action component to the thing with the registered activation, but at least from what I see, that is not the case. It is actually more that it is adding a thing, in this case, like this flat model name to like a list or an array that is attached to the mod that actually registered the activation. And with that list, basically, whenever the game updates, that being whenever the game goes past like one frame, basically, it checks for what, essentially, it checks for what action mode, such as steal mode, grab mode, info mode, talk mode, the player's in, and checks if they have tried to click somewhere, and then it does that, and it does a whole bunch of other logic to check if something should happen based on that, such as opening a shop shelf or opening a loot pile, opening a corpse, opening a door, stuff like that, everything. Everything involved with that. But in terms of the custom activations, it's near the end, which is usually the case. But then it goes through this flat model name thing, which is that list I told you about, that it makes when the things are registered from a mod, and then it kind of goes through those and makes sure that whatever was clicked, the game object, its name does not match one of those things. And if it does match one of those things in the list, then it will do whatever method, custom activation method, or function, whatever, was attached to it by the mod. And that's the idea. So it's not something that I could probably see in the editor per se. I may be able to, but not like I thought I was. It's more of something that is in like a single variable and then it's checked here essentially, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually potentially a good thing for my case, because then I don't have to necessarily worry about it every time the scene in question is reloaded or something of that sort, or whatever kind of happens. Like, I should be able to replace whatever with my custom sprite that has the action registered on it, and then it should automatically just be, whenever that is there, it should check if that thing is in the mod list and everything, and then do whatever. So that's actually a good thing, potentially, if I'm understanding it right. But the thing is that I need to also know what thing it actually cares about. In this case, what game object name is checked, because in what I did, at least I'm pretty sure, this set material thing isn't actually doing anything besides changing that texture, but it's most likely not doing anything for the whole custom activation stuff logic. So I'm likely going, which I probably was going to have to do anyway, but I'm likely going to have to either remove or completely change the the game object itself that is there originally, that being the loot pile in this case. Which is fine, because I was pretty sure I was going to need to do that anyway. I mean, maybe I could change some aspects of the loot pile, but I'm thinking not, because it probably wouldn't be worth it, because I would have to change like everything. That'd be easier just to make my own. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at, is that I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to take this loot pile that I want to, well, whenever I do it, that I want to replace in this case, and then give it the characteristics that I need for it to work with that custom activation and such. Because initially, at least if it is a locked container, which it generally should be in this case, unless there's some other things I want to do later, but for this case, it's always going to be a locked container, basically, in some way, that when the first thing that you click on it, it's not going to have any loot. Well, there will be loot attached to it. That's the thing that I'll have to remember, is that before I delete the loot pile in question, I will at the very least want to save/retain the previous loot pile that I deleted's collection of items, and then transfer that over in some way as a variable to the new custom loot pile container thing, which won't be a loot pile initially. It'll be something else. Like, it'll just be the chest that you have to first open to access the contents and such. But yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do here, basically, is get that whole thing sussed out. I kind of have an idea how I'm going to do it, but I'm not, like, completely certain, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. But yeah, besides all that, for my pleasure, and hopefully yours as well, I'm going to put on some music, and we'll do some coding and rambling while we're doing that coding and thinking, and hopefully we'll get some shit done here. This is Bomberman Hero Desert. I'm basically right now thinking of how I'm going to, like, deal with the initial loot pile itself and then make my own object kind of deal. What I'll probably do, I'm thinking right now, is save the loot piles collection. Save the loot piles collection. Save its transform, possibly, if I even need it. And then make a custom, make a billboard, a Daggerfall billboard, and put it in that same kind of position. But that billboard will be my custom texture in this case, the chest or whatever. And then with that, I can attach other components that I want, such as loot container, or what's the Daggerfall loot and stuff like that, when I need it. But it should still have these other variables attached to it, possibly. Or yeah, it should, because if I make it a Daggerfall loot, but the issue there is, if it's Daggerfall loot, it will try to bring up the loot menu, like the inventory menu, if you click on it. So I'm gonna have to think of something with that. Not certain what, and I may not. It may be a pretty easy thing, but I just can't. It makes me think that it's gonna be an issue before I do it. So it's like, how can I potentially prevent that being an issue? But in this case, I think. So if loot piles dot container type equals random treasure. So yeah, I did want it to be filtered down to that point. Basically, I want to save the two values right now, and then probably just delete the object completely after that point, and then put my own object afterward and such, and hopefully see if that does something that I'm expecting, at least. So I already got this down here. I'll just copy and paste that. Transform. And I also want the item collection? Daggerfall item collection? Called something like that. Item collection. Alright, it's not. It doesn't know the context right now, so I got to find what it's called. Loot. No. Where item collection? It is item collection, so. Item collection. Old pile loot. equals, and then I got to probably add something like Daggerfall item collections or some crap. Game items, yeah. As an include. And this will hopefully be loot piles. I dot collection. Hello. Called items. Yeah. This is a good song. I mean, most of the ones that I obviously have on my playlist are good songs, but Kirby's got some pretty sick music in it. As a kind of rule, almost. Might even replay it when it's done. So I got... In theory, I have the old pile that I'm going to delete's collection. Like, its items that it had. For right now, at least. And its transform. What else? What other properties might there be? This is a transform loot piles. What other characteristics might there be here? I don't care about the entity name because we're gonna have our own. Hopefully. We'll have to see. World context, basic context of world object. I don't think I care about that because I'm gonna know what the context was when I replaced it anyway, so yeah, I don't think I care about that now. Custom drop loot is not part of base scene and must be respawned on... Huh? I don't know what the fuck that's about. I don't know what that's about. Well, for now, I guess. Let's do loot piles. I dot delete. Remove. Destroy. No, I think I have to do game object probably. Yeah, dot destroy. Delete. Remove. What the hell would it be? Oh, this one's good too, man. Mother 3. Serious. What's the other one called? I forget what the other version is called. The hell is it? Name, active. What is it? Game object dot. Oh wait, I think it's like a method, Roy or something like that. Is it? No overload method for takes 0 arguments. Well, what's the arguments it needs? Hold up. I'm going back to that Kirby song. Destroy object. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's kind of... I'm doing it in, like, the wrong order. Got to invoke, like, a method to do that. Which I should be able to just do like this. Yeah. So at least in theory, that should destroy this loot pile. Remove it from the scene completely. Excuse me, I'm a little bit congested. Just slightly. So now, we got the transform saved of it, the item collection saved, and we have destroyed the old one. Is gone. At least that's the idea. Removed old loop file from scene. Let's save. It's here. It's yeah. Characteristics we care about. Isn't that cold-hearted? Cold-hearted sounding. Cold and calculated. Cold and calculated with this music in the background. Okay, so now what we want to do is actually create our new object in the world or whatever. So I think we have to go to game object helper, I believe. This is, once again, something I haven't really done often, but hopefully it's not too big a deal. Billboard, let's look up billboard. Maybe that'll help. Find a method for us. Create Daggerfall billboard game object. That's probably what we want, but let's check some of the other ones. What the heck is that? Create a billboard batch. I think that is like kind of like a, I don't know what that is. I think it's something like basically if you want to make a bunch of billboards that are in like one single prefab kind of deal or something. I don't know. That's my guess. Now what's this about? If player activate that has, I mean, I bookmarked this, but now I'm trying to think what the heck that was about. If has custom activation, what does it do? Add box collider to flats with actions for raycasting. Only flats that can be activated directly need this, so that it can be possible to restrict. Okay. I think I see. Now, where's he getting the flat name from? Get game object flat name. Where's that getting it from? I'm guessing it's just the thing that we see with the loot piles and stuff, kind of like 210 and stuff like that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That makes sense. That makes sense. This is definitely the one we want in this case. So, create Daggerfall billboard object, game object. Da, 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 da. Do we have to... I think we have to do game object helper dot, possibly. And then we probably need more from that. Yeah. Cool. So we need the archive, the record, which would be... No, hopefully we could just give the transform that object had. But who knows? I don't know. The transform always fucks with me. Like I'm always so messed up with the transform and how it works and what it means, and the context and all that thing. It's so confusing to me for some reason. I hope eventually I get over that confusion with how transform is and stuff. So we'll say what is this? Old loot pile transform. We'll say call that. So we don't get it confused. Now, hopefully that's good enough. I don't know. So what it'll do is that it'll give us this, and then it'll have the transform. It'll find the flat name, which should be that, the just archive and record. And then it'll make a new game object. Cool. And then if parent... then it sets that to its parent. And then it does this whole thing, add component billboard. Well, that's set material, and it gives the material, so yeah, this is so far exactly what we want. And then it does this thing, apparently, if we have a custom activation, gives it a collider based on the flat, like, dimensions, I guess. So at least, for all intents and purposes, this should at least have our sprite, whatever you want to call it, our billboard placed in the world where that loot pile was deleted from. And it should have the custom activation we registered not attached to it, but it should, like, know, it should know logic-wise to do that action that is attached to it. Now, we want to attach other characteristics, which would be, when I think about it, actually, I could just do that with, that's what I'm going to be doing. Actually, yeah, duh. I'm just going to attach the LLC object to this, basically. And that's going to be where I'm going to hold the other values. I'm going to add it as a component. That's where I'm going to hold the other values and stuff. And at least for right now, when those values are held that way, when those values are held that way, it's going to still have them, even if it doesn't do anything with them until something happens. Like, it's not going to be Daggerfall loot until after the thing's already been unlocked and the trap's disabled and stuff like that. Or the trap's fired and stuff. Where the chest actually opens. At least that's what I'm thinking. That's what it'll be like. And then I'll turn it into a actual, like, loot pile proper. But the actual components of that loot pile, like the old and the new added items from the loot collection here, item collection, will be held in this LLC object that'll be attached to this parent object, I guess you could call it. So all I should have to do in this case, at least right this second, is just attach this LLC object as a component to this. And then when that is attached, give it the old loot pile characteristics. At the very least, the item collection loot that we have, and then we could use that to add on to it later with our own stuff that we're going to add to it potentially, and our own logic and everything. So yeah, so we created that, which is like the more important thing, I guess. Wish we could have had to do add component for some dumb reason, the syntax of it or whatever, but it's done a bunch of times here. Yep. Yeah. Basically just do this. LLC object. What an awful variable name there. Okay. And now, LLC obj dot, what do we got? So attached loot, I want there to be multiple variables in this case. So I'm going to add that now. Where? Attached loot. Item collection. Old loot. Old loot. Yeah, I'll just call it old loot, I guess, for now. And then let's see, attached, and then put old loot. Old loot. Old loot. That should work. old loot equals old pile loot. There we go. So now this aspect of it has been completely preserved, I guess you could say. And there was something else about grounding it to the floor. Align billboard to ground. Position bottom above ground by adjusting parent game object. Size. I don't really know the size. I'll probably need to do that later, but I won't worry about it now. That's like little stuff. Let's get the basics working first here. Then we'll worry about positioning and stuff. Fine-tuning positions to make it look good. If that's necessary, which it probably will be. Since, at least if I'm thinking about this right, that billboard would have been placed there under the assumption that it's a certain size and everything like that already. But then when I changed it, then the transform might be the same, but it's probably going to be slightly different. So it might be in the ground a little bit, or it might be floating a little bit. So I'm probably going to have to do that anyway. I just don't know what size, what to give it there. I kind of know, but I don't know how to get it necessarily. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do. Does this have size with it? I'm sure it does. Maybe not. Oh, well. Wait a minute. Yeah. We'll worry about it later. Fine. Fine right now. So I got distracted by that, but why was I? I don't know why. Yeah, I shouldn't need to save the transform in this case, because it's already this, kind of. But I got the old loot saved. Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, like, I'm just pondering. I'm like thinking, like, well, most of the logic is going to be done, at least most of the quote-unquote work is going to be done by the actual custom activation thing, I'm thinking, at least for the time being. So it's like probably a lot of this is good, potentially. So we got the billboard texture and all that. It's got a loot component assigned to it, variable, whatever, to this custom LLC object. For now, at least. So I'm gonna try to attach a what's this crap again? .get component. I mean, I could figure that out again. Set material. I'm not too worried about that. So get rid of this. Don't need it anymore. At least not that I don't think I do. Or will, whatever. And then here, I'm going to add for the chest activation, the actual custom activation, I'm going to have just a... Gonna see about getting just a simple text box to show up whenever I click it. What's the way to do that? I know it's a simple thing, but it's easy to forget sometimes. I mean, because that's what I'm going to be doing, is making a text box show up basically with choices. So I don't want to just do HUD text, even though that's useful just for testing, but I want to get a text box. So where would I get that code from? Just thinking. I could probably get it from here, actually, when you, activate a shop quality. No, maybe not. That's not the action, it's a different thing. That's player activate that we're looking for. So quality. Yes, reading. Yeah, okay. So I could just do this, I think. Which I don't even have to, I think just one line will work. Make a simple string, I think, and have it say that whenever we click it. And it should just be, what is it? String message box, and it should have just its other things already defined. At least I think. Let's see what other overloads they got. Message, message. Yeah, that's about all I'd really want. Alright, so did that stuff for now, so we are going to test in the Unity editor. I honestly wasn't certain if I would even get to the Unity editor in this video, but clearly I am. So I'm going to launch that, and I'm going to pause and I'm going to launch that because it takes goddamn forever to launch, and when it is launched and everything, I will unpause and be right back. Okay, so in the blink of an eye, we are back. And it took like, yeah, like, I don't know, probably like at least 5 minutes for it to, the Unity editor to, launch and everything. But, yeah. Since we are currently running the mod, with the same scripts and everything, like, we didn't change any, well, we saved them and everything, like, we changed their internals, but we didn't actually add anything, we didn't change their names or anything, where they're located or anything, so our df mod, what is it called? Our json.df mod, whatever it's called, our mod settings have all those things already imported. So us saving them was enough for it to translate into the virtual version of the mod. So we should just be able to press play and have all those changes be there. We don't have to like rebuild it every time or anything. But with that, let's press play and see what we got in game. And thankfully we made a save near that one cemetery on that testing character, so should be pretty quick. And here's the one. Let's make sure to toggle God mode real quick. Not that it matters because I'm just gonna do kill all enemies anyway. But I like to have God mode on when testing. Uh-oh. Well, that's not what we wanted to see, but doesn't necessarily mean that is a all-around bad thing. So let us pause the scene and look around. See if we could find anything strange. Out of the ordinary. First, let's find the player, why don't we? Smooth follower, camera. Yeah, go to it. There you go. Doesn't look like there's anything like under it or anything, so I'm assuming our parent transform probably didn't do what we were expecting. It probably put it somewhere stupid. If it did put them at all, but we'll have to see. So we will look around. Will be a good thing to click on some flat object. Even though I probably could click like literally anything. Yeah, yeah, that might work. Not that, but hey, man. Your editor is so stupid slow sometimes when you first start it. There we go. Now, what is this? Dungeon. Lights, flats. Billboard. Let's see if we can find our name. Our 810. Somewhere in here. Locked loot containers. So the mod is loaded and everything. Should be at least. And it did delete those objects and such. But why does it not seem to have added those billboards we said to the scene? At least not that I'm seeing right now. We'll try the search. Let's see, 210. Nah, that's not what we want. 810. Yeah, so it doesn't look like our objects got added to the scene like we were expecting. For what reason, though? I am not sure. I am not sure. So let's exit out of the game. And look at our code again and see if we could find anything. Not that. Turn the music back on, why don't we? See if we could find anything we might have done wrong. If parent. Well, there is a parent. At least I gave it the transform. So that shouldn't be an issue. So we destroyed that. Chest parent object is game object helper.create Daggerfall billboard. And we gave it 810 0 loot pile transform. And then we added the component LLC object to it, and that was it pretty much. Best thing to do right now would be to live debug it, because I am not sure what might have gone wrong here. So, what this live debug thing is a tool, I guess, in Visual Studio. I don't know, I'm sure many other IDEs have something like this, but it's a pretty powerful tool in Visual Studio, at least, that we can attach to the Unity editor, and basically while the game is running, it will detect when this line of code here that we have marked, this breakpoint, it would be called, when this gets executed, and then it stops everything, and then lets us go, like, basically step by step in the code to see what the values are and all these other things and stuff. And it's really handy. Like, besides in other ways you could do debugging, it's probably, like, the most information dense one you could really do for certain, like, weird problems that you're trying to solve, like, especially with, like, weird, like, math that you're not expecting and such, like, so many things. So, we have the tools available to us, so we might as well use them. So we will do attach to Unity and play. It'll probably take a few seconds, but it'll launch the game, hopefully, and hopefully when we go back and then go inside that dungeon, it should breakpoint right here, stop the game, and then we could go step by step and see what, hopefully see what's going wrong in this case. When it does the breakpoint, it might sound a little bit weird, because, it, like, stops on whatever sound was currently playing, so just be aware. It might sound funny for a little while when I'm looking at it. Alright, and let's also clear the console. Toggle game mode, or toggle god mode. Alright, now it should breakpoint, like, right now, yep. Okay. So we're currently at this spot, so we will go one step, do step over, and then it got the loot pile for the whatever, the first loot pile here that it picked. And what items does it have in it, just for the sake of example here? Values, keys. I think that's it, yeah. It's a little bit confusing, but you could get the idea. Yeah, this is gold pieces. That was the first object. Now let's see what the other object was. Might be like flowers or some crap. Who knows? It was a small statue, huh? That's not a common thing. Alright, that's the old loot pile it just found, so that's good. Now let's see what the transform. Where does it transform? Oh, old loot pile transform. And that is this. Not that much attached to it, apparently. Kind of. Well, yeah, there's stuff attached to it, but a lot of shit I don't understand. That's like the position and everything relative to wherever. Does it have a parent and everything? Well, of course it does, but I wonder what the parent is called. There it is. The parent is actually the billboard. Yeah. But okay, we supposedly have that transform. Now, what is going to happen next is that loot pile will get destroyed. The old one. Loot piles, the game object. Remove old loot pile from scene, but save its characteristics we care about. So that should be done. At least in theory. Now, we're going to try and make the new loot object, or the new object. So we will actually do step into this time, which will have it, instead of step over, which it would just execute whatever happens here and then go to the next line here, it'll actually go into this method that it's going to run, so we can see what's going on there. So in this case, we got the archive is 810, record 0, parent is that random treasure. Oh, maybe that's why. I think that's why. Possibly. Because the parent we just deleted. So maybe it'll actually, like, say something. Probably not, but let's see. So what did it just do there? Go.transform.parent equals parent. Go.transform is the parent. It's that. Which has all these characteristics. Parent is that, so I don't know what it does after that. That's my guess. Is what's going wrong here. That's my first guess, at least. As I'm going through this. But we will, just wait and see before we make assumptions. Or just jump to conclusions, I guess. So we'll keep going. Billboard.set material. That. And then it will go in here. Then it should go in here and all that. Okay. So that's So supposedly it made that game object. Then we'll add this component. Locked loop containers dot. That's that. So let's see that. Let's see if that got that. It should have. What would be called old loot. Yeah, it's got it. So let's do continue, and then it'll do the other ones. 1, 2, 3. So now let's do kill all doors. And they most likely won't be there still. Yeah. Indeed. So I think that is my first assumption, because otherwise, right this second, I have no other clue. I have no other clue what could be the issue there. That's the assumption I'm getting from that data, at least, is, yeah, it's possibly that I'm deleting that object too early. So possibly do this after all this stuff is done. Possibly. So let's just try that. See what happens. But as you can see from that, even though I haven't fixed the issue yet, as you can see from that, that is a very powerful tool for debugging. Even just from that short demonstration there. And Unity also, when you make a save or a change or whatever, it can sometimes take a little bit to load, or whatever you want to call it, compile and everything. So that can be annoying, but it's not nearly as bad as having to, like, rebuild the mod every single time. And all that stuff. We just made that change. So the old loot pile will be removed after the other one has hopefully been created. So we'll see if that changed anything. Got locked loop containers and everything. And let's do the same deal. See what we get. If anything. Because if there's nothing, I don't know what to do next yet. Kill all, open all doors. Uh-oh. Nothing. Nothing. Well, let's pause and make sure that that is correct. You know what? I think I might know what the problem is, actually. Maybe. Is that I'm making the game object... Like, I'm making the game object with that helper. Yeah, I'm thinking that's the issue here. The hell's going on here? Stop it. There we go. I'm making the game object with the game object helper stuff. But... let me just redo this. Not that it really matters, probably. Actually, let's just do it like that again. I don't know. But, like, I'm making this game object, but it's as a variable. Like, I'm creating it, and then it's being assigned to this, and it's like, okay, you made that. Now what? I haven't actually attached it to the scene itself and made it active and such. So that I'm almost 100% certain is the issue right now, actually. Um, Now to actually do that properly, I know there is obviously a way to do it. I just don't know at this very second what that process is, so this video's gone on quite a bit, but I feel like continuing, so fuck it. Fuck it. Let's see if we can figure this out. So game object helper and such. So let's do this. Let's do find all references and find other references in the code for this. So somewhere like here. Spawn billboard game object. Game object. That's the exact same that we did basically. Now let's see what it does with game object afterward. Add editor markers to the list. To list, I don't know what the heck that's talking about. Add flats. So we got game object helper, create billboard game object. It's doing all that. It's giving it it's attaching a billboard component to it. And then it's assigning all these other positions and stuff to it. Where's object coming from? Where is this coming from? Ouch. Ouch. The hell is it coming from? Well, I can do that by control left clicking it. Apparently coming from here. Okay, yeah, it's just a for each loop. So add light. Now let's see if add light actually does something with it. Just position, transform. Just properties. Come on. Alright. I'm gonna look up. What is it called? Like, active or some shit? Is that active? Yeah. This is for add people. Why is that not for other things, though? Or, well, that's set active false. Disable people. Yeah, that's different. I guess by default, set active is possibly true, most likely. Maybe it's because I didn't attach a billboard to it? Or it's like, it's just a game object, but it's not going to be rendered in the scene and put in the scene or something? Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I'm just basically trying to copy this behavior to, see how I can make it work, but it's kind of making sense. Possibly. Because it doesn't have the billboard game component attached to it yet, I think. I think that's the main thing. So, at very least, it's not rendering, but you'd think that... No, maybe not. It wouldn't... Maybe not that it wouldn't be put in the scene yet. Unless I make it a billboard or some shit. Billboard... Now, what is the other stuff with a billboard? It's like another type that was a Daggerfall billboard or something that I was editing with over here that I deleted before. See if I can go back a bit. Yeah, we got billboard and Daggerfall billboard. What is the difference? I'm not sure. But I mean, at least for this, for adding flats, it doesn't seem to care. It's just doing, this. So I guess let's, even if it's not right or something, let's just, I don't know. Let's just try this, I guess. And then when it goes down all this stuff, doesn't seem to do much else besides that, basically. Yeah, I don't know. So let's, I don't know. However something happens with Billboard here, let's see if it does something, I guess. Or no, it's saying get component. Not add component. I guess that makes sense, because it's signing a billboard here, I think, isn't it? Yeah. What the heck, man? So, this is billboard, add component, set material. Shit, I don't know. Because at least I would think, I mean, maybe that search is just not that great. I don't know, maybe it's not searching how I'm thinking it should or something. But let's just try it, I guess, and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen besides nothing? Besides nothing changing. And in this case, then we also want to get the position, I suppose. So that means we want to make a vector 3 os equals loop piles dot transform dot position or something. Yeah, I guess we'll try that. Let's see. Transform dot position plus I don't know what the hell this is for. Billboard dot summary dot size y. Something about the scaling and such. I don't know. Just leave it there for now and see if we can get anything working at all. That's even if it's messed up, we just want to see if it works at all. Alright, so we saved. Now we gotta let the Unity editor compile and such. Oh man, I don't know what I'm probably gonna have to ask about this if this doesn't work in some way, because I don't know why I'm not seeing anything. And not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit dumb, but that's not a uncommon behavior. Or not an uncommon feeling. I'm honestly kind of skeptical, but we'll see. Yeah. I'm not gonna jump to conclusions there just yet. I am going to pause and see if we can find anything to find our objects. And let's see, let's look up like that. See, it shows all those supposedly. So 8, 10. Why? Why not? Why are these not showing up? Or being created or whatever. Yeah, this is a emotion and or question you are going to be asking yourself and feeling often is why, and confusion when you start doing modding. I'll tell you that if there's anything to expect, it is that. At the very least, eventually. And right now, I'm confused. Even though I'm feeling like it's probably almost definitely something stupid. I'm gonna pause the recording again. I will be back when I do a little bit more reading in a sec. Okay, so I'm back again. I did just a little bit of reading on some other code, and I'm thinking maybe, possibly one thing I should try is the game object in question dot set active and then setting it to true explicitly instead of assuming it's going to be true. But the thing that's weird about that is that I would think it would show as like grayed out in the scene if it was inactive but existed. So at this second, I'm kind of thinking it might not do anything, but I'm just gonna give it a try and see what happens. But yeah, it's kinda weird. But there is a lot of stuff that happens when a stuff like this is added to the scenes that unless you kind of read deeper into it, you don't really see that much of. A lot of it kind of seems to happen automatically, but in this case where I'm doing it myself, you do have to consider possibly a lot of little things that you might forget to do or not realize you have to do. So we're just gonna give it a try here and see what the result might be. Nothing. Nothing, 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 nothing. Well, nothing that I could see at least, so yeah, let's pause real quick. And let's see, check 210, bunch of stuff, 810, nothing. Nothing. Hmm. I don't know, I'll try something like this. Like game object. Game object, oh crap, let's do that. Close that first before, we try to save. That'll probably fuck shit up. Dot transform dot parent equals get best parent. Gets best parent of it for an object at spawn time. Object should always be placed some child object and world rather than directly into root of scene. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's gonna do anything either, but I don't know, we'll see. Man. It's usually the case that it's something stupid that you're missing, and have a pretty good feeling it probably is, but boy, right now, as it usually is the case, I don't know what the hell the problem could be. Or what I'm doing wrong in this case. Man. I always have issues doing stuff in the scene directly like this. Always have issues with it. And I have no clue why. It's just seems to always happen. Alright. Go in. Get out of my way. Oh my goodness! It worked! Kill all. Alright, of course. Of course. I have no fucking clue. I'll be honest, I have no fucking clue why that worked. Why the other parent didn't work, or whatever. Yeah, I have no idea why that didn't work with the other stuff and why that made it work. That code that I was looking at was from, John Doom's mod Power Struggle. John Doom, he's not really in the modding community anymore, but he did make some pretty cool stuff, and, there was examples for something like that that I'd like to pull from. But I guess in that case, I'm sure there's so many other ways to do it, but in that case, this worked to at least get this to show, up in the scene, was to use this line of code. I don't even know if the set active is necessary or not, but whatever. I'll probably get rid of it and test it, but the game object dot transform dot parent equals game object helper dot get best parent. I don't know what the hell that all does, but in this case it seems to have worked, and I don't know why it didn't like the other parent or whatever. So let's see if we click it. Yeah, good job, asshole. You click the chest. Very nice. And as you can see, they are floating, so that was a thing that I'm going to have to fix eventually, but it's not a big issue now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that position and all that crap. But this part actually works. So I'm actually gonna look in the scene a little bit while I'm here. But yeah, I have no clue why it wasn't working without that or whatever. Not a clue at all. Like I said, that stuff confuses the fuck out of me. Like now if I look up 210 and then 810, yeah, so they're in the scene proper and everything. So apparently it was some issue with the parent not being assigned right or not being the correct parent. I don't know. But it's possible that maybe something in that get best parent thing actually did something as well. But yeah, so this is going through that whole custom activation thing, but it just checks the actual, like, name of the object, and then it goes by that. So it goes by this name, basically, I think, the Daggerfall billboard, texture dot that, all that stuff, that it goes by that name to determine what kind of custom activation happens. And yeah, it doesn't seem to have any, like, not right now at least. What's up with that? Daggerfall billboard. So for some reason it still has the archive of the chest I get, or the loot pile or something. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe that's because that was the transform I gave it or some shit. Yeah, I'm really not sure about that one. I'm gonna have to do a lot of, not so much research, but a little bit of research to kind of try to understand better what is going on there. But we were able to, in this case, here, let me actually just look at it. Get best parent. Get best parent for an object at spawn time. Objects should always be placed to some child object in world rather than directly into root of scene. Let's see, transform dot get best parent. Player is inside building. Okay. Player's inside dungeon. Dungeon dot transform. So what the heck was it giving it then? I guess it was giving it something else. Maybe it's because I wasn't giving it the proper transform from the object or something. Like, not its parent. And it said it was something else, and then it was just like, oh, that's not sufficient. That's not the proper thing or something. Because clearly it's looking for one of these, like the context of either inside of a building, inside of a dungeon, inside, location rec, this player inside, the streaming world and everything. So, like, those 4 different things, kind of, it's looking for, I guess. So, from this loot, object, clearly that parent wasn't sufficient. Alright, so I'm gonna exit, close out of the game. And I'm just curious right now because even though this stupid recording is gonna be like 30 years long, but whatever, I shouldn't care about that. This is just mostly for archival purposes, so fuck it. I want to see what parent I should give it, because clearly it's looking for something like this. Interior.transform, dungeon.transform. but I think I was giving it something else. So let's check real quick and see what I was giving it, possibly. And then what it is given when this happens instead. Alright, so attach the Unity and play. So let's see what happens. Alright, so this. So what? The random treasure. Random treasure is like the transform in that case. And then we're going to do this. And then we'll check that out. Test parent object. And we'll check out what its transform was turned to. And it is random treasure is the parent. And the root is dungeon. So now that we know that, the root, so maybe we have to do something like that and then the root or some shit. But let's see what it changes to when we go past this point. When it does the best parent thing. We'll actually go into that method. Why don't we? Actually, no. Let's just do this. So transform.parent is currently that random treasure thing. Then when we go past this, now it becomes Daggerfall Dungeon. Yeah. So I'm guessing it got assigned to some weird parent that wasn't meant to be the parent, kind of. That's probably one of the bigger issues that I was kind of having in other cases too. In some senses, I was thinking differently or something. Daggerfall billboard. I guess that makes sense because the loot pile itself is attached to the billboard. So let's see if we can see what the billboard parent is. Billboard parent is flats. And then what's the parent of that? Daggerfall block. And what's the parent of that? Daggerfall dungeon. Uh-huh. So I think in this case, what the hell do we want to do? Because we don't, that would be kind of improper. It would actually, it'd be more proper to put it into flats like this. But how do we do that exactly? I don't know. You know, I'm just gonna do, I'm gonna continue, and all that crap. Let's check out what these are actually in. They're just kind of like loose. They don't have any like specific thing they're attached to. Which isn't necessarily like the worst thing, but it's not, you don't really want it like that. I'd rather have it inside of flats. I mean, maybe I could just do that then. Maybe. Maybe I could make my own parent, but then I also want the parent to be a child of this. Kind of. And yeah, and to be a child of the other blocks and everything like that. The proper blocks like this. But how would I do that? How would I do that? I guess I would have to actually child by child for the loot piles, sort of. And, or in this case, like the flats or something like that. Just to get an idea. Like this billboard. It's under flats. And it is inside of this block. So it's inside of this block, and it's under flats. But it's in this dungeon, which is like, I guess the main, well, like probably the second, the main parent. I guess the main one would be whatever all this stuff is. Or yeah, it would be part of, I guess, the dungeon scene. What would all of this be called? This would be the child, like I guess the base, the base, like child, kind of like the last child. There's no other children of it. Then the flats would be the parents of that, which are the parents of dungeon block, which is the parents of this dungeon, which is the parent of dungeon scene in general, whatever. Which I would like to have my things assigned in the same, like, area, kind of, if possible. How would I do that in code, I wonder? And with that, why did assigning that to, the random treasure, or whatever the hell it was, why did that cause issues? Or just why did that cause them not to spawn at all? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Or whatever, I don't know, to be exist at all. But yeah, you know, like I should better understand this, which is what I'm trying to get at. Um so either way, we got it to kind of work. You know, like it does what we expected it to. It when we click on it, it does a thing. It says something. The chests, whatever they exist in the world, they replaced the loot piles. I'm assuming, let's see if we could actually see it in the editor here. Yeah, it has this LLC object script attached to it, so that should have the loot properties for the other stuff, and we could use that later. Now, just the main issue is me not understanding at this moment kind of what the parents and the children transforms and stuff, how they work, and how to better incorporate them just like this does. So this video has gone on way too long. So I'm gonna end it now, basically. But I'm gonna do some reading immediately after I end this, and hopefully I can figure out for the next one and a little bit better explain, hopefully if I figure it out, how to use this parent and child stuff and better organize this and stuff. Reading through the DFU code, how it does it when it sets up the scenes and everything, and try and replicate that behavior basically. But thank you for watching this overly long episode where I got confused and had to do a lot of thinking and such. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, so it's about 20 minutes later or so after I stopped recording. And I was doing a little bit of playing around, and I was able to seemingly get the result that I wanted. So right now you could for one see that the chest sprites are pretty much, you know, as good as you could get it on the ground, position wise. Their thing is working. And you could see from the scene view that they are also in the proper spot within the well, you know, more proper spot within the actual, like, scene, whatever you want to call it, hierarchy. Now they're actually where the loot piles were originally. So that's cool. And the way I was able to do this, I found, I'm just going to close out of this, with just a little bit of playing around, which is always going to be probably the primary thing you're going to have to do at the end of the day, is just play around until something happens. I took out that set active thing because it wasn't necessary. I commented out the set position things, these three here, seeing what it would do, and the things were still in the scene properly, but the position was all wrong, so these appeared to be necessary. You could probably do it in some other way, like billboard transform position dot POS. Yeah. Yeah, like that seems necessary, so it's not a giant deal there, I guess. This part, I'm not sure how necessary it is, but I just kept it. And then the thing that made them align to the ground properly was what I thought it was going to be, was the align billboard to ground. And the, at least down here, I was able to find where the billboard that we made, billboard, df billboard dot summary dot size, you could put it in there. And then that properly, at least in this case, aligns it to the ground. So that's cool. And the other thing that I figured out to get it, the more important thing, I suppose, to get the thing without having to do that get best parent, was it's kind of ugly. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but it's kind of ugly. But in this case, it works. So, old loot pile transform. You just kind of look at like as if you're looking at the list in the hierarchy. So I was like, okay, the old loot pile transform was the loot piles billboard. That's the original transform of it or whatever. That's the first parent. So I was like, okay, then of that one, do dot parent, which means that would turn into possibly the dungeon or whatever the hell it was. But then I was like, okay, I don't want that yet. I don't want just that. I want the one before that, I think. So then I just did dot parent again, and it was like kind of like going down or up the hierarchy, allowing me to do it like that. So in the case that the problem was I was having is that you don't have to use get best parent in all cases. Like if you have this sort of thing here where you already have a transform, if you want it somewhere, just keep doing dot parent basically until it shows up probably, or shows up where you want it to, and in that case it worked out. But yeah, I'm glad that I did some testing. I'm going to save this to the GitHub, add some comments and stuff, and I'll add this to the end of that video that I just ended. But yeah, that is cool, and I will see you in the next one.